sake, where did I put my written words? Can I have yours? Thank you. Good afternoon. Apologies for the confusion. Um, Before we start today's meeting, I wish, along with my councillor colleagues, to take a moment to acknowledge the deep pain felt across our beautiful country and beyond following the horrific events of Sunday's Bondi massacre. We stand together in grief and solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Their sorrow is our sorrow, and their resilience inspires us all. We condemn hatred and violence in all its forms. We reaffirm our commitment to ensuring that everyone in Australia feels safe, respected, and supported. Let us all share the values of compassion, unity, and peace as we move forward from this unspeakable tragedy. Anti-Semitism, violence and hatred have no place in Australia, and our condolences go to the families that lost their loved ones. We stand with our Jewish Australians everywhere, and we especially stand with our Jewish family in Tasmania. Yeah. So now we come to public attendance time, and I remind everybody in the gallery today that attendees are reminded that council meetings are a place of work for staff and councillors. The council is committed to meeting its responsibilities as an employer and as host of this public forum by ensuring that all present meet expectations of mutually respectful and orderly conduct. It is a condition of entry to this meeting that you cooperate with any directions or requests from the chairperson or council officers. The chairperson is responsible for maintaining order at council meetings. The chief executive officer is responsible for health, well-being and safety of all present. The chairperson or chief executive officer may require a person to leave council premises following any behaviour that falls short of these expectations, and it is an offence to hinder or disrupt a council meeting. And public attendees are requested to register their attendance prior to entering the meeting. And I wish to advise everybody that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. So our first item on the agenda is attendance, and we have a full council meeting today. Item number 2 is the confirmation of minutes, that the minutes of the November meeting held on the 18th of November, and the recommendation is that the minutes of the Council's ordinary meeting held on the 18th of November 2025, numbered 25-150 to 25-171, as provided to councillors, be received and confirmed as a true record of proceedings. Will somebody please move? Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Seconder, please. Councillor Allen. Councillor Lyons, any comments? Councillor Allen? Any comments from the councillors? There being none, I put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 9-0. Item number 3 is late items. Pardon me, and there will be a late item from Councillor Matty-Katz that CEO Kristen Desmond will explain to you.
Thank you, Chair. I received a motion on notice outside of the normal time frame from Councillor Matty-Katz yesterday. Each of you have been provided with a copy of that motion. Given the timeliness of this meeting and the information contained within the motion, I believe that it is appropriate for this motion to be debated today. That motion, should you pass it, will be discussed at councillors' motions on notice. So for the purposes of the minutes, the motion is that the West Tamar Council affirms its unequivocal support of the Jewish community, including Jewish Australians, and condemns anti-Semitism in all its forms, including conduct, rhetoric or symbolism that intimidates, vilifies or targets Jewish people. In order for this matter to be considered by council, there must be a majority of councillors who are prepared to accept this as an absolute majority of councillors who are prepared to accept this for debate and discussion today.
Thank you. Item number 4 is declaration of...
Sorry, Madam Mayor, we just need to vote on that it be accepted.
Oh, so yes.
Yeah, so the motion is that this late item be accepted for debate as motions on notice.
I'll second that.
So it's not live yet, so we need to make it live first.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. You move, and a seconder, Councillor Lyons. Are there any other comments accepted?
Yeah.
So we put it to the vote.
Hold on, we still need to talk to it.
No, doesn't that happen?
Just in terms of accepting it as a late motion.
Oh,
Yes. The reason why this has come at a late time is obviously the period for submitting motions or questions on notice had expired before these tragic events had unfolded, and I just think that I would urge my councillors around the table to accept this motion as a late item so that it can be debated at, I believe, item 16.2.
thank you, Councillor Manticas. Councillor Lyons has nothing to say. Councillor Lana.
I would like to move an amendment.
No, you can't do it until the motion is live. So when the motion comes up, you can then move the amendment. Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. All in favour?
And this is to accept it
Yes.
as a late motion?
Yes.
Carolyn do vote.
So if we can just, again, have the vote for the room so that I can...
All those in favour?
Okay.
Against? Well, that's a no vote. So for the record, those that supported the late motion are Councillor Sladden, Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Manticas, Councillor Lyons, Councillor Shegog, Councillor Hondal, Councillor Allen, Councillor Ireland, and abstaining is Councillor Lana. So now we come to the declarations of interest in a matter of a councillor. Are there any pecuniary interests for today's meeting? Councillor Sladden.
I've got a non-pecuniary interest in 16.1, but I don't believe it affects my ability to debate and vote on the matter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
Myself, the same as Councillor Sladden on 16.1.1. At this stage, I'll be intending to vote on it.
Thank you very much. There are no other? Thank you. So now we come to public question time. And the general rules for those who are wishing to speak today is that 30 minutes maximum for public question time and public questions. Any one speaker is allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to make a statement and or up to 3 questions. For clarity, a member of the public has a maximum of 5 minutes total, irrespective of making a statement, asking questions, or a combination thereof. A question will be answered if the information is known, otherwise it will be taken on notice and responded to in writing. If a member of the public hinders or disrupts a meeting, or tries to hinder or disrupt a meeting, or refuses to leave a closed meeting, or uses obscene or offensive language, the chairperson may take reasonable steps to remove the person from the ordinary or closed meeting, including requesting the assistance of a police officer if required. So now we come to public input time, and those that wish to speak have registered, and I'll just call you out as I've received the wish to speak. And the first speaker is Emily Peterson.
Thank you. Hopefully my final visit. Thank you. My first question is, would you please re-accept the petition with the offending pages removed? I believe that there was a heading that wasn't on some of the pages. If that would be possible, that's about water fluoridation.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I hope it's fully compliant this time. And thank you also for offering to write that letter regardless. My next question is about information on water fluoridation given by Taswater, noting that, of course, you're a shareholder. I refer councillors to Taswater's website page, Fluoridation of Drinking Water, and I'm happy to provide a direct link, but you can find it yourselves quite easily by searching for Taswater and fluoridation in a search engine. And I'd like to quote a section of that page. Is water fluoridation safe? This is according to Taswater. The 2016 National Health and Medical Research Council's evidence evaluation shows that water fluoridation helps to reduce tooth decay in children and adults. There is no reliable evidence that water fluoridation at current Australian levels causes health problems. To view the full paper, please visit Department of Health and so on. And what I'm asking Council to do is to ask Taswater to update that, given that that's a decade out of date now.
Well, we will take that question on notice, and you will be responded to in the statutory time period.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My final question is, would Council please consider updating the petition process, modernising it to be able to accept electronic petitions? I had a lot of people who were willing to sign the petition but weren't in area at the time, or busy mothers with their families and so on. And I found the petition process to be quite difficult, noting that, you know, I'm university trained. I know how to do these things, but I'm wondering if Council would consider updating or considering updating the petition process.
That is a governance issue, and I'll just hand over to the CEO to explain to you.
Thank you.
What that process might be.
Yeah, unfortunately, Council has no control over that process. That process is set out specifically in the Local Government Act. So any changes in relation to that would need to be made by the state government.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Cheryl Swan. Oh, okay. So you're choosing not to speak today. Okay. The next person is Alex Friend.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name's Alex. I just wanted to introduce myself and myself as the designer of number 7 to 9 Summit Road, and I just wanted to show up and be available for any questions after this meeting. And I didn't have any questions myself, but I ticked the box just in case.
All right. Well, you've made your statement. Thank you. The next person to speak is David. Is it Munting?
Good afternoon, councillors and attendees. My name is David Munting. I'm a resident and ratepayer at Stevensdale Drive, Riverside and Pars Road, Greens Beach. My comment today is in support of the Council's Growth Strategy 2025 and more specifically its preferred method of consolidation in areas around established towns with access to essential service and amenities. Over the last 10 years, I've liaised regularly with the West Tamar Council Planning Department, Councillor Sheegog and Councillor Mandikas. Leading up to the 2017 Tasmanian State Planning Scheme, I was advised that my property at 1B Stevensdale Drive would be rezoned to low density residential. In preparation for these changes and the potential for land development, I spent considerable time and money clearing suitable area for such a development. With council authority, I installed crossovers, removed unnecessary easements and engaged legal services to amend my title. It was with great disappointment that upon the release of said scheme that a specific area plan, or SAP, was placed over many areas, including my property. The new advice from Council was that the SAP would remain in place until such a time as the Council sees it appropriate and necessary to review. Well, I'm very pleased that we have reached that time, and I fully support the Council's vision to increase the number of available dwellings to the community in this area. In light of the well-publicised housing crisis and the shortage of properties for sale and rent, I see this opportunity for growth to be timely for all stakeholders. This area between Eccleston Road and Rosethorn Road, including Stevensdale Drive, Tamar View Drive and Illawong Place, is what I have heard many describe as low-lying fruit. Many already cleared parcels of land, some connected to reticulated sewage and mains water, and all in very close proximity to essential services, including the West Tamar Health, Terry White Pharmacy, pathology, physiotherapy and aged care service providers. All of these services less than 2 kilometres from this area. Further to that ease of access to services are the location of both primary and secondary schools and Woolworths supermarket, also less than 2 kilometres from these properties. In reviewing the performance criteria for low-density residential for a site that has full water supply services, reticulated sewerage and public stormwater system, I found that the development must not be out of character with established properties in the area. Approximately 150 metres from my eastern boundary on Stevensdale Drive are dwellings within the Eccleston estate with land size of less than 500 metres squared. Any suggestion that a size of 1,200 metres squared is not in character does not have to look far to see that 1,200 metre squares in modern times may well be considered a lifestyle property. I understand that many properties in this specific area do not have access to such services as sewer, and for those properties, a minimum lot size of 2,500 square metres under low-density residential guidelines may apply. But if any amendment is made to the current SAP, I would expect the Council to do so with provisions for these properties that are connected to such services. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that statement. The next speaker is Helen Petronis.
Hello there. That's a bit short.
I know how you feel. Would you like to step to the side?
Sure, I'll do that. My name is Helen Petronis. I'm here in regard to the development at 7 to 9 Summit Road. I'm the neighbouring property at number 11. I raised with the council that in the DA, units were mislabelled. And I received notice on the agenda for today that basically it wasn't too big an issue if these units were mislabelled on the DA, as it wasn't misleading to council, but it is misleading to residents. So I just wanted to address how that can go through and be allowed to go through. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person to speak is Peter Hodges.
Mayor, just a point of order quickly.
Yes.
Was that last lady asked a question? We recognise that properly?
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw it as a statement.
How is it to go through council?
Okay. Well, then I will take that question on notice and we will deal with it you'll be responded to in the time period required. Thank you. I'm sorry. I thought it was just a statement. Thank you, Mr. Hodges. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I wish to put forward the following statement in regards to responses received from Council to questions I put forward on notice on the 3rd of December. The response does not answer whether Council acknowledges that long-term non-enforcement, despite observable permanent occupation, may give rise to legitimate expectations to estoppel-based arguments. Please state whether Council accepts regulatory acquiescence over many years and legal consequences irrespective of formal approval status. The Council has already accepted the fact of grandfathering, which is outlined in Planning Acts. This is demonstrated by its decision to allow residents to remain within the park. Therefore, it is reasonable understanding and expectations that the Council does accept the residents' established tenure. The question asked when council determined the use was unlawful. The response does not provide a date or decision point. Please identify the earliest date council formed the view that residential occupation was unlawful and what enforcement steps were taken or not taken at that time. The response does not address whether council consciously elected to enforce planning controls despite awareness of permanent residency. Please confirm whether enforcement discretion was exercised, and if so, on what basis. That's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. You did have a couple of questions in that statement, and we will look at them and respond to them.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Marion Fletcher.
Good afternoon, Lady Mayor and councillors. I have two questions. The first one is, could you explain the consultation process between the West Tamar Council and the State Planning Authority and how this has been applied to the Beauty Point Tourist Park?
I will take that question on notice, and we will reply to you in the statutory time period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the second question is, recently Kristen, the CEO of the West Tamar Council, gave evidence that there had been compliance issues with the Beauty Point Tourist Park since 1995. Could you detail what the compliance issues were and what action was taken?
Well, obviously, we would have to take that one on notice as well because we don't have that information to hand, and we will reply to you in the required statutory time period.
Thank you, Lady Mayor.
Thank you. So the last person listed now is Cheryl Swan.
I'm just going to talk about a road again. Previously, I've raised about the state of Paper Beach Road, which has been patched and patched and patched. The centre of the road, potholes are reappearing quite nastily again, which people are trying to avoid, but because it's such a narrow road, it's quite dangerous with the large ditches on the side, which also need cleaning out. So previously when I've raised these issues, I've received a letter saying, oh yes, it's on our maintenance, schedule, but not what work's going to be done when. And the when is the issue. It's always like, in the future, in the future, in the future. The same with Paper Beach Esplanade, which is not vehicle traffic but pedestrian traffic. It's quite atrocious at the moment after all the trees that fell in the recent storms and the clearing up of that. And there's a huge hole still where some of those trees fell into the property along there, and there's a huge, still roped off, not attended to. And all the debris from all those trees are still all over the esplanade. People with walking frames and, walking sticks and mobility issues are having a lot of trouble. Some people that I know that used to frequent the area with their, what do you call them? Wheelchairs, have given up because it's so bad. So it really needs some attention. That the Esplanade's been mown once for the whole of spring, only once in November. So this year it's really had little to no attention whatsoever, and it's time we got a little bit done down there, I know there's lots of other work going on, like, Beauty Point and everyone else, but other areas like where we are get neglected and continue to do so and are deteriorating more and more and more.
Thank you, Ms. Swan. And we will have our community assets people go down and have a look, and we'll reply to you in writing. Thank you. There's a Mr. David Hill, but he hasn't indicated whether he wishes to speak or not. No, he doesn't. Thank you. There's also Dylan Cox doesn't wish to speak. I'm just checking before we go to the next item. Katie McIver? No, thank you. Aaron DeWitt doesn't wish to speak. Thank you. Ryan Taylor? No. Jane Hendricks? No. That's it. Oh, there is one more. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Oh, all right. Well, we will. Thank you, Mr. Sutherland. We will acknowledge your attendance at the meeting. So the next item on the agenda is 5.2, and it's public questions that were asked on notice at the last council meeting, and they can be found from pages 91 to pages 94 of the agenda. Item 6 is the Chief Executive's Officer's Declaration, and it's found on page 95 of our agenda. And we now come to item number 7, which is a planning matter. And I remind councillors that we are now sitting as a planning authority, and each council acts as the planning authority for their municipality. In this role, councillors consider development applications and make administrative decisions that are based on the council's planning scheme. While voters are obliged to consider the community's views, this does not mean that they can vote in favour of those views while fulfilling the role of a planning authority. Councillors must make planning decisions based on whether a planning application is consistent with the local planning scheme, even if the members of the community object to the planning proposal. And the first planning item is Plan PA 2025084, multiple dwellings by 4 at 7 to 9 Summit Road, Trevellyn. And the purpose of this report is for Council to consider the residential multiple dwellings by 4 at 79 Summit Road, Trevellyn. The proposal includes construction of 4 detached 3-bedroom, 2-storey dwellings. Demolition of the existing dwelling is also proposed to accommodate the new dwellings, and that multiple dwellings are permitted, land use within the general residential zone, and those details are listed from page 96 of the agenda. And the recommendation for this particular agenda item is that application PA 2025084 be determined as follows, and that the requested variations comply with the relevant performance criteria and be supported, that matters raised by the representatives have been considered but do not alter the assessment against the scheme or the recommendations, and that the application for residential multiple 4x4 and demolition of existing dwelling and outbuildings by A-Friend Designs for land at 79 Summit Road, Trevellyn, CT 1822541/1 be approved, subject to the conditions that are found from pages 117 to 120 of the agenda and the plans from page 121 to 114. Will somebody please move that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Lana. And a seconder, please. Councillor Mantikas. Councillor Lana.
Thank you, Chair. There's been some deliberation with Council prior to this meeting concerning the 34 representations, which have their merits, however, don't apply so well against the planning scheme. One particular matter was the overshadowing of the neighbouring properties on the east and west However, the orientation of the site is to the north, and the setbacks are good according to the guidelines, and the building envelope also satisfies the height of 8.5. There is a very minor infringement of that shadow. However, because of the orientation, it's deemed to be satisfying the performance criteria. In the matter of needed housing development and the nature of this site in proximity to the city and all services.
Thank you, Councillor Lana. Councillor Manticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And look, I support the recommendation that's before us today. When we sit as a planning authority, we're very limited in how we can assess, and we need to do so against the Tasmanian planning scheme and the criteria that has been set. I do note that there are 5 discretions that have been triggered by this application, and we need to look at each discretion in context to the overall development and in line with the planning scheme as to whether or not by triggering those discretions that there are solutions put forward that would satisfy the intent behind the planning scheme. Notwithstanding, there are a number of representations that have come about from this development. I think it's important to know that at number 10, there is already multiple dwellings located in the area. This development, number 7 to 9, is quite a large block, and what's being proposed is 4 dwellings. And if that block was to be 2 separate blocks, it'd be no different than just having a granny flat and an ancillary dwelling out the back. And so I think from a density perspective, it's exactly what all of the regional land use strategies are calling for, what the state government is calling for. It's about sensible infill of development. Where some of the triggers have been assessed against the planning scheme to have triggered, for instance, is going outside the building envelope. And when you look at the plans, we're talking about a very, very minor area of this proposed development falling outside of what is already the acceptable solution. We talk about private open space being in a different area than what the planning scheme says, and I've touched on private outdoor open space before. If you're looking to buy a property, if you're looking to rent a property, you're just happy to have some private outdoor open space. Doesn't always necessarily need to be cited where the acceptable solution is. You can trigger the discretions, which still gives you the benefit of having the private outdoor open space. There's nothing in this application that warrants me, when making my assessment against the proposal, to look to want to refuse this application. I think it's in keeping with so many housing policies, the community sentiment at the moment of sensible infill development and addressing a dire need in the northern part of Tasmania, and that is a lack of housing options. Here we've got a proponent that is trying to develop their land in a way that addresses the housing crisis here in northern Tasmania. We've got a need for this form of housing right throughout Tasmania, let alone Australia, but specifically for the West Tamar. We are one of the fastest growing local government areas of all of Tasmania, and infill development is sensible development. The discretions that have been triggered here today in no way, in my view, warrant any other opinion than approval.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. Are there any other councillors that wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, I think it's just important to state that this does actually have a strong case from a planning perspective. There's things in it that I personally would contest, but overall it does meet the performance solution. If I just draw your attention to things like the driveway access, and I can understand the layman's perspective on this, because I'm also a layman. That's a part of our role as in the planning authority, that we're not necessarily technically trained. So I welcome those representations and concerns. However, when you do look at it, you have to accept some of the subjective views and really try find what is a reasonable assessment. This report, I do believe, is strong and does perform. Other things that are worth drawing attention to is things like the driveway. Initially, we understand that provisions for a passing bay wasn't in place. However, with liaison with council in normal processes, I believe our council officers have drawn attention to the need for a passing bay. That's happened, and again, I would argue that the passing bay is not in the ideal position, and neither can it be based on the design and constraints of the site. But that is not grounds to reject it. It still does perform adequately. But what I am also pleased about is, and it shows the expertise that's gone into this, is that there are some conditions. Importantly, that stormwater will be limited to the peak rates. They'll be required to have a detention system, maximum site discharges, and we don't see this all the time. There's also requirement for the applicant, if they proceed with this, to provide plans, calculations and engineering advice that supports that what they're going to do is in fact going to be suitable for that location. So as a planning authority, this application should be approved. Whether it is actually built and whether it the things that it contends for can be supported into a building application is yet to be seen. But I support the application.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Ireland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I also support this application. The discretions are all minor. My fellow councillors have highlighted all the details there. One extra benefit is that they're providing more visitor spaces than are required. And as I've been up to have a look at the site, and obviously on-street parking is not a thing you want to have there. So it's quite good. They've got extra visitor spaces. So in all, it's a good development. I support it.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Any other speakers? There being none, Councillor Lano, I ask you to close. Any further comments?
No further comments, thank you.
Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. That was the only planning agenda today, and we now move on to item number 8, which is the Office of the Chief Executive Officer. And the item is council workshops held in November and December, the minutes, and they are found from pages 145 to 149 of this item. Will somebody please move that the minutes are a correct record of those meetings? Councillor Sladden, and a seconder, please. Councillor Ireland. Thank you very much. Councillor Sladden, do you wish to make any comments?
Just briefly, this is a record of the workshops and the topics discussed, the matters discussed during that time, and just really a commitment to our transparency.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ireland?
No, nothing further to add. It's just it's a good record of what we did. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the councillors? No, there being none. Councillor Sladden, anything further? Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Item 8.2, it's an AGM motion that was put to the council by P. Carney, a request for a memorial award, and the purpose of this report is to consider a motion passed at the November 2025 annual general meeting as required under Section 72 of the Local Government Act 1993, and the details are found from pages 150 to 152 of the agenda. And the recommendation is that Council endorse the naming of the lectern in the Windsor Council Chambers as the Jeff Dickinson Memorial Lectern, authorises the Chief Executive Office to arrange for a plaque to be affixed to the lectern, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to write to the family of the late Mr. Jeff Dickinson to advise them of the memorial and express Council's appreciation for the many years of contributions from the late Mr. Dickinson. Would somebody like to move that motion, please? Yes, Councillor Shegog. And a seconder, please. Councillor Allen. Councillor Shegog.
Madam Mayor, I think I said enough at the last meeting when I paid tribute to Mr. Dickinson, who was a great orator at many of our meetings, especially the AGM. And I think that this idea is actually a fantastic way to show our appreciation of all his input to council over the many years. And I'd also like to acknowledge that Mr. Tennant, our communications officer, was actually the one that identified this as a good idea. So I don't think that should go unnoticed. And I think that that's a legacy that will last well past maybe used by dates as well. So well done. Good idea.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Yes, this is just a small way of recognising Mr. Dickinson's involvement in our community. As you say, he's been involved with council for many years, always came to our AGMs, always had something interesting to say. He was a long-time previous member of the Beaconsfield Beauty Point improvement committees. And thank previous councillor Carney for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Councillor Lana.
Just personally, I enjoyed the colour of Jeff's language and the way he put his ideas forward. And it's prescient that his last presentation was concerning the Tas water charges, which I believe are maybe of quite concern to our community of the West Tamar in the upcoming years.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Maticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I think this is a really good example as to how any member of the community can come to an AGM of council, move a motion, and it puts something squarely on the councillors' radars. And whilst the motion itself isn't being adopted in its original form, there's a very fitting outcome that I think appropriately balances the sentiment behind the AGM motion of Mr. Carney, with the need for obviously making sure we recognise special people within our municipality that have contributed to council meetings as well. And I think the officer's recommendation here and the recommendation to name the lectern is a very good compromise that hopefully keeps everyone happy. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Maticas. Any other comments? Before I ask Councillor Shegog to close, I would just also like to add that not only was Jeff Dickinson, or Dicko as he liked to be called, a great orator, the times that he came to council and really made us think about the words that he left with us were quite exceptional. And for me personally, when I first became a councillor, one of the issues that I was very passionate about was road safety on our roads. And with Jeff's expertise in that area, he was supportive beyond words, and the information and the advice that he gave me was invaluable. And like all of the councillors around the table, we will miss Jeff at our next AGM. So without further ado, Councillor Shegog, would you like to close?
That's very kind words by councillors, and I think that it shows how much that Dicko meant to us as far as his ability to come in here and add to our meetings, even though I have to admit half the time I actually really didn't know what he was talking about. So, but there you are. But anyway, no, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. And we very much look forward to the plaque that will remind us of him every time we look at that lectern. 8.3 is another AGM motion by P. Carney regarding affordable housing, and the purpose of this report is to consider a motion passed at the November 2025 annual general meeting as required under Section 72 of the Local Government Act 1993, and it is detailed from pages 153 to 155 of these agenda papers. And the recommendation is that Council does not endorse the motion, quote, that the West Tamar Council develops and adopts policy initiatives, including planning reform, that deliver available, affordable, accessible and sufficient housing for all who live or wish to live in the West Tamar. Will somebody please move?
Madam Mayor,
Thank you.
I'm going to move an alternate motion.
Okay.
The alternate motion is that the West Tamar Council develop a housing plan in line with the actions detailed in the West Tamar Growth Strategy.
Can we get that?
In 1 second, we'll just get you to confirm that's the motion.
Second the motion.
There we go. Are you happy with that, Councillor Menticas?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And may I have a seconder for that, please? All of those in favour?
Oh,
Well, it's a new.
I get to speak to
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's important that I do speak to this because the original motion that was moved at the AGM, we obviously had council officers look into that motion further and provide recommendations to not support the AGM motion. Whereas I believe the intent behind the motion is for council to obviously develop a housing plan. We can only do that if it's underpinned by overarching strategies and plans. I think the original mover of the motion, Mr. Carney, at the AGM would be quite happy with this as an alternate motion, knowing that the original motion was recommended to not be adopted. Having a housing plan is already an initiative, I guess, that's identified in the draft West Tamar Growth Strategy that this council will have opportunity to have input in later in today's meeting. And I think all of our plans or policies that the council needs or chooses to implement needs to come from a source document. And so I think this is a really good outcome for the original mover of the motion at the AGM. It also sends a very clear signal that this council is very committed to making sure that there are housing plans that we can adopt and initiate and respond to community concerns in today's housing crisis. That's why I've moved the alternative motion. I would ask the councillors around the table to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. Councillor Lyons.
Well, I support the idea of having a strategy which allows and encourages development of housing. I think this motion in favour of supporting the West Tamar Growth Strategy is a good one, and it supports what former Councillor Carney intended, that it bring it to our attention and that we continually work on trying to provide suitable housing that fits within our strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Any other speakers to this motion? No, there being none, then I'll ask Councillor, anything further, Councillor?
Nothing further.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 9-0. Thank you. So item 8.4 is the last motion that was moved at the AGM, and it was moved by Jay Walker, and it was an investigation into Taswater. And the purpose of this report is to consider a motion passed at the November 2025 Annual General Meeting as required under Section 72 of the Local Government Act 1993. And the motion is detailed. The motion was that the West Tamar Council executes its own investigation into the inflow and infiltration of stormwater into the Lagana sewage treatment plant lagoons during the calendar year of 2026. And the details of that particular motion are found from pages 156 to 158. And the recommendation is that Council does not endorse the motion, quote, that the West Tamar Council executes its own investigation into the inflow and infiltration of stormwater into the Lagana sewage treatment plant lagoons during the calendar year of 2026. Will somebody please move that recommendation?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment to that, please.
Yes.
And the amendment reads that the West Tamar Council continues to monitor, along with Taswater, the inflow and infiltration of stormwater into the Lagana sewage treatment plant lagoons in the 2026-27 financial year.
Thank you. We'll just get that up on the screen.
There it is there, Madam Mayor. I was prepared, unlike Councillor Manicus, and provided.
Just to clarify, this is an amendment to the original motion. This is just an alternative motion.
Well, it is an alternative motion, but it's a recommendation. Yeah,
yes.
You're right.
Yes. So it's there up on the screen. May I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Ireland. Councillor Shegog.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This was another motion or recommendation put to us at the AGM, which again, following on from Councillor Manicus, is great to see. I was a little bit disheartened. I know we've changed it a bit and we weren't going to initially endorse it, but I did read the officer's comments and there was one line in there that said, Taswater has advised that planned action for Lagana is continued monitoring with investigation scheduled in 26-27 financial year. So what concerned me is that they actually seems that they haven't done it, but they're planning to do it. So I think this motion now just covers that we keep an eye on it and that we monitor with Taswater, as it's their role, and they've indicated 26-27 financial years, so we fall in line with what they're planning to do. To give us greater insight to that infiltration or inflow, if there is, of the stormwater into the Lagana treatment plant.
Thank you, Councillor Shield. Councillor Ireland.
Yes, thank you. The original motion was basically for asking West Tamar Council to do the research, which is totally outside of our remit. We don't have the equipment or the technical expertise, and also infiltration is not necessarily through manholes and through cross connections. You get significant inflow through groundwater, which you can't pick up with dye tests and stuff like that. So it's a sophisticated thing. Taswater are aware of it. We don't rank at the top of the list as far as the problem, but we are on the list and they are going to investigate it over the next financial year, and we will make sure that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Any further comments? Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, just a question, thanks. To me, this motion is actually going to have potentially going to have the same implications on council. So, the question is to Chief Executive: is what sort of cost would this incur, and does council have the ability to even do this to that extent that it's clearly needs to have a collaborative approach with Taswater, which is their job?
What I would say, Councillor Ferguson, is Taswater publishes this information on its website in terms of infiltration, and it would be my expectation that what we would be doing is monitoring that to ensure it doesn't go any higher up the list. Taswater have also said that they're going to do an investigation. For me, it would be monitoring and ensuring that they actually do the investigation that they've said to us that they would within 26-27, and just ensure that the promises they've made actually happen. That's how I would interpret that motion and the work that's included in it.
So just a follow-up question, Mayor, if that's okay.
Yes.
So are you saying that effectively the commentary and work that's happened because of the interest of the ratepayer on this matter, that work, it's simply following that up? So
yes, so Taswater's
no
confirmed the work that they're doing, so I wouldn't see any additional cost. It would just be continuing to collaborate with Taswater to ensure the work they said they were going to do actually occurs.
Okay. Could I speak to it now, Matt?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So on that basis, happy to support this motion. I was not supportive in the AGM of the original motion because it was really not well positioned for this council to support. In light of the chief executive's comments, I think it's very reasonable to continue that follow up, but certainly with the intent of ensuring that what's been passed on to us in terms of their actions are actually are followed through on. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Any further? Councillor Lana.
Thank you, Chair. I have a continuing concern with the wording of the motion, in that there could be cost implications, or I'm not sure how council can ensure that Taswater does this work when it has a lot else on its plate that it is currently prioritising to quite a large degree. So I'm not sure what the solution to that dilemma is.
I think that the CEO has clearly stated that we will be monitoring this very carefully, and I would suggest that if, as the time goes on, you're not satisfied with that you raise the matter then. But I have every confidence that our CEO will be on to Taswater for updates on this matter. Councillor Allen.
Can I just add too that we've got a representation from council on that committee, so we'll put pressure on him to make sure that it is monitored.
Thank you. And for those that don't know, Councillor Ireland is councillor's representative on the Taswater Board. Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Manticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I believe I was going to support the original officer's recommendation, but I also think this is a very sensible amendment or alternative motion that has been moved. I think it strikes the right balance. I was also concerned about cost, but and I thank the CEO for clearing that up. It's about monitoring Taswater and what their publications are, and making sure that they continue their investigative work in 26 and 27. So, with all the discussion around the table, I'm quite happy to support this.
Thank you. Councillor Lyons.
I again couldn't support the original motion because, one, it didn't. We had no idea of what the cost would be, and the second thing is I don't know how we would monitor what goes into the sewerage system. So on two counts, I didn't think the West Tamar Council could do it, but I'm quite happy to get Taswater to liaise with Taswater to make sure that they're operating an efficient sewerage system. It's hard enough for them to actually, with inadequate systems, West Tamar Council really passed on to Taswater inadequate systems, and we now, hope that they can improve them. And part of that improving would be to prevent the infiltration of stormwater. So I'm happy to support this alternate motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Any other comments? There being none, Councillor Schiller.
No, simply that thank you for the fellow councillors for clearing that up, and I think that this is a good solution or outcome from the original motion.
Thank you. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 9-0. Thank you. And to our ratepayers in the audience, we apologise for this continuous noise in the background. We are trying to get it turned off. It's a bit irritating.
I didn't notice it until now.
Did you?
So
Gosh. 8.5 is CEO 5, Northern Tasmania Development Corporation Quarterly Report, July to September 2025. And the purpose of this report is to provide Council with the Northern Tasmanian Development Corporation, NTDC, quarter report for the period of July to September 2025. And the details can be found from pages 159 to pages 172 of the Council papers, and the recommendation is that Council receives and notes the Northern Tasmanian Development Corporation quarterly report from the period of 1 July 2025 to 30 September 2025. May I please have a mover? Councillor Manticas. Seconder, please. Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Manticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I happily move this for receiving by the council. I think it's important that everyone knows that NTDC, or otherwise known as Northern Tasmanian Development Corporation, they play an extremely important role into the economic development of eight member councils. This report, I think, provides useful insight to give the members of the public an opportunity to see what kind of work and activities and priorities that they're focused on. And as a member council, I think it's really nice to be able to receive such a detailed report that we can have for adoption, that we can also publish so that our ratepayers can see the work that NTDC do, not only on our behalf, but a number of other member councils.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. Councillor Ferguson.
Yes, just to add to that, that this is about our priorities for the region being well coordinated. So they've got we've got a common interests, and they are looking at the region for economic development and coordination of priorities, particularly around election cycles as well, so that the region on a whole benefits. So happy to support the report. It's excellent.
Thank you. Any other comments? There being none, Councillor Manticas, anything further to close?
Nothing further.
Thank you. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 9-0. Item 9 of the agenda is under the heading of Governance, and Gov 1, West Tamar Council Audit Panel Minutes. And the purpose of this report is to provide Council with copies of the confirmed audit panel minutes from the meeting dated the 27th of August 2025, and the unconfirmed audit panel minutes for the meeting dated 8th of December 2025, in accordance with the Council Audit Panel Charter. And the details of this proposal are from page 173 to page 180 of the agenda. And the recommendation is that Council receives and notes the confirmed minutes of the audit panel meeting held on the 27th of August 2025 and the unconfirmed minutes of the audit panel meeting held on the 8th of December 2025. May I please have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Sladden. And a seconder, please. Councillor Manticas. How appropriate. Councillor Sladden.
Thanks for indulging us, everyone. The reason for the humour is that there are two councillors on the audit panel, and one of them is myself, Councillor Sladden, the other one is Councillor Manticas, so it was going to be one of the two. Look, just by way of background, the audit panel meets 4 times a year, quarterly, and we look at the reports presented by council officers in line with the adopted and endorsed audit panel work plan, and the minutes provide an outline of the matters that were looked at and discussed. So with that, I've got nothing further to add.
Thank you, Councillor Sladden. Councillor Manticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm slightly unprepared to speak to this item, but I want to say that we also have an independent chair that sits on the panel and coordinates the meetings and takes control, and his name is Andrew Gray. And as the year comes to a close, I'd like to thank him for the work that he has done on behalf of this council in chairing the audit panel. It's not an easy job. The audit panel's essentially there to provide independent oversight from the day-to-day operations of the council, acting on behalf of a committee of council where we review everything that you could possibly think of, from financial reporting to compliance to governance arrangements, to making sure that the council's operating the way that it should. And obviously, while it wouldn't be appropriate for me to discuss specific matters, I can confirm that the minutes are an accurate reflection of the discussions that have taken place.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. Any other speakers?
I would just like to thank our council reps on that committee, because I know there's a lot of work involved, so thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Ferguson and then Councillor Lyons.
Yeah, along with thanking the councils and wishing them a Merry Christmas. Um, but seriously, the audit panel is the activities of audit panel is coming through more and more in our council activities. As a councillor, I'm picking up on more signals or suggestions that the audit panel is actively looking at certain areas and giving meaningful feedback. So it is actually an important role, and it is, as explained, it's about rigor and yeah, it's effectively just a separate audit for our governance. So yeah, I do actually appreciate the work they do, and hope the councillors are prepared to continue next year.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Lyons.
Yeah, and I'd like to congratulate our two representatives on that the audit panel. But it came to my attention when I was reading these minutes. I also looked up at the founding document for our audit panel, and we had a whole day workshop in relation to our rates recently, and I think the definition is already in the audit panel's document. So I think what we were trying to achieve and talk about, I think, was already covered by the audit document. Anyway, congratulations to those people who sit through the hundreds of pages of agendas and do assist us in controlling what goes through this council.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Any other comments? Before I ask Councillor Sladden to close, I'd also like to just echo the sentiments of those that have spoken around the table. I often think that audit panel members must think that they have a pretty thankless task because it doesn't come up in conversation often, but everything that they do is integral to every area of operation of this council, and it is a tough gig, and we really appreciate that both Councillor Sladden and Councillor Mantikas sit on that panel and represent all of us. Thank you. So I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. The next item on the agenda is item 10, and again, a very important one. It's Development 1, West Tamar Growth Strategy and Infrastructure Plan. And in the summary, it states that the West Tamar Growth Strategy outlines a long-term vision and plan for managing land use, infrastructure and development across the municipality to 2046 and beyond, as found in Attachment 1 of the papers. Adoption of the growth strategy and its infrastructure plan is an important step in embedding this vision into the statutory planning instruments, and the details of the strategic plan for anybody that wishes to read them are found on pages 181 to pages 336, but is also on the West Tamar Council website. And the recommendation is that the Council adopt the West Tamar Growth Strategy Attachment 1 and Infrastructure Plan Attachment 2 as its long-term vision and plan for managing land use, infrastructure and development across the municipality to 2046 and beyond. Will somebody please move that motion or the recommendation? Thank you very much, Councillor Shegog. A seconder, please. Councillor Lana. Councillor Shegog.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, may I just acknowledge the quality of the report. This has been going on for some time, so I'd say hats off to Michelle Riley and her team in the planning department that have actually got to this point to be able to present the document to council. It's a large document, and I hope councillors have had an opportunity to read it because there's a lot involved, and it does set out the direction for the next 20-odd, 30 years, so that's a fantastic result. So just briefly, the West Tamar growth strategy is very clear that the municipality continues to grow. There will be increasing need to make more land available for residential development. Traditionally, some areas of Riverside, for example, have contained significantly large blocks, but subdivision has been restricted by the requirement under the SAP, Specific Area Plan, for a minimum lot size of 5,000 square metres in the low-density residential zone, for example. As identified in the growth strategy, there is a need to increase the supply of lots by reducing the minimum lot size requirement of 5,000 metre squares to say 2,500 metre squares, and even smaller where services already exist. Council can unlock significant areas of land for residential use while still maintaining the character and amenity that the community has come to expect in the low density residential zone. It's also important to note that Riverside is strategically positioned between Launceston and Lagana, with Lagana being one of the fastest growing suburbs in all of Tasmania. A significant amount of land in this corridor is currently landlocked between Launceston and Lagana. This strategy will provide property owners with greater opportunities for subdivision and growth, and furthermore, those properties connected to town sewage and town water, if the SAP were not to apply, lot sizes could be reduced further to 1,500 square metres. This is outlined on this strategy identifies this on page 231 of the agenda under point 4.4 actions, and is named as the first priority, which was outlined by Mr. Munting in the public input time. And I'll just read those out to you. It's to develop the priority actions. Short-term, the priority actions are develop a master plan for SAPs for growth, townships, Riverside, Lagana and Exeter, and review of the minimum lot size restrictions to encourage more intensive development. So I think that that's a great opportunity, and I think strategically Riverside should be the first cab off the rank for planning scheme amendments or SAP changes due to its close proximity to Launceston. Following this, Council will need to consider a staged, piecemeal approach for further specific amendments to the planning scheme and zoning changes through the municipality. Now, the second part of this plan is the infrastructure plan. And I'd like councillors to maybe look at page 266 of the agenda, which outlines where we may see ourselves in 2046. And I'm glad that we've identified the increase in residential aged care, because I think in 2046 I'll probably be facilitating one of those opportunities. Occupying, yes, yes. But the other interesting things that I just will quickly mention is by 2034, they've identified another childcare facility, another 150 aged care bed facility, more recreation ovals, 3 tennis courts, 1 basketball court and a netball court, which I'm not sure how that got to that point, but that's the level of detail that this strategy has gone into is amazing. And by 2046, another childcare facility, another primary school, another aged care facility. And I think it's important that council looks at this and may see some opportunities for us ourselves as owners of large tracts of land within the municipality to maybe jump on this opportunity that's been identified by this report as we move forward. Because remembering 2034 realistically isn't that far away. So I commend this strategy to council, and again congratulate Michelle and the team for producing it.
Thank you, Councillor Shegog. Councillor Lana.
Thank you, Chair. While I commend and support this plan, it is to be hoped that community input, such as to the Lagana structure plan and the Exeter structure plan, are heard. A lot of people have moved to the Exeter area, for instance, for their lifestyle, the rural lifestyle, and are a bit wary of too much densification, but I'm sure that those consultations have been conducted comprehensively, and this is a good way to stop to limit too much sprawl away from services, and to incorporate that livable walking distance to essential services and other community benefits. So I support this strategy, which is a good one.
Thank you, Councillor Lana, and I hope you'll be assured that whenever council takes on a strategy like this, community consultation is the top priority, and I think as a council we do it very well. And where we land, I think, is a result of input from the whole community. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Lyons.
I support the motion as well. I'm just fearful I talk about hospitals a lot because that's where I worked most of my life. But we used to say diseases and cures will overcome all your planning. And I think what happens in councils is infrastructure and developers can overtake our strategies. And I just hope we can maintain this strategy. But I am fearful of there not being sufficient water for all of the things that Taswater are planning, that there's not enough electricity for all the things that Hydro are planning. I just hope that the strategy can at least stick for a few years. But we do have to bear in mind that we'll be, our flexibility will have to be there just so we can work with developers, but we can also work with those infrastructure things that are so vital for the future development of the whole of Tasmania, but particularly the West Tamar.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Councillor Allen.
I just want to say what a great document it is and how important this document is for the future growth of our area. It's interesting to note that it's a static document, so it can change at any time. But because of the fast rate of growth and the different type of people that live in our area, and of course the wish to attract people to our area, we need to be in front of that. And I think this report covers it well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, Councillor Ferguson?
Yeah, just bring the attention that this is really about direction. And for example, there's been some references about sizes of land in SAPs, etc. That isn't decided. That is not actually a part of this. Is about that will be evaluated and confirmed by council. I think this strikes the balance because it's pretty clear about the obvious places where densification and growth will occur, and it also has lifestyle areas which I believe will preserve what's good about West Tamar as well. So the reality is this document shows the demands and challenges in the future, both in the growth and also the infrastructure to keep up with that growth, and the opportunities, as Councillor Shegog has raised. So I think for the landowner, they will absolutely be in the driver's seat here. This is about future planning, and it will help shape the planning processes into the next 20 or 20 plus years. Our planner has also told us that this document, if I'm correct, is a document that is going to continue to change. And what we've got right now will not be it's not a rigid document. We can expect it to change, and landowners will be able to engage in the processes to hopefully secure their intents for their land as well. So, but it is a very good strategy, and I think I'm quite comfortable for this document because when we discuss about future use of land that we don't own, council often gets a lot of pushback, and I think this document strikes the balance, and I think most landowners will be comfortable with it, knowing that it's not drilling down to very prescriptive numbers or even areas in some respects.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Any other comments? Councillor Manticas.
Who was this one? And look, and I wanted to acknowledge the hard work of our municipal planners, Michelle Riley in particular, SGS Economics and Planning as well for compiling this report. This is a lot of information that we've been collating over a long period of time. And when you think of a traditional city that does a growth plan, they're focusing on one area, whereas this plan's had to encapsulate Lagana, Riverside, Exeter and Beaconsfield. So it's almost like 4 or 5 mini plans that forms the overall larger plan. But what this growth strategy identifies, and it clearly differentiates the different needs of each of those communities and where we anticipate the growth, and has an infrastructure plan that comes and backs it up so that council has clear direction of where we should be investing on capital works items, which will ultimately affect our long-term financial plan as well. We as a council are giving ourselves the tools to be as prepared as possible. the growth strategy clearly identifies that over 7,000 people are going to be moving into the West Tamar over the next 20 years, and there's going to be another 3,500 dwellings. You know, this is going to be the guiding document that sort of anticipates where that growth is going to be and allows us to be actually on the front foot, being proactive in our approach rather than being reactive. The growth plan will enable council to see where or what we need to do by way of increasing public open space or investing into community facilities such as playgrounds or community centres as well. This is a really, really important piece of work. And I say, I think it would be the most important piece that I see across this desk while I'm on council. So thank you to everyone involved. I'm super supportive of it. And just also echo the same sentiment that Councillor Ferguson had said. This will also enable local property owners to decide if they want to develop their property. It'll be underpinned by an overarching document that supports what they want to do, but it's not saying that they have to do it. Yeah. So it's just providing some very clear guidance into the future as to where we see the growth, and you'll have a growth strategy that supports that as well.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. Any further comments? Before I close, ask Councillor Shegog to close. For those in the audience today, I really do recommend that you have a look at this. As Councillor Manticas said, it's probably one of the most important documents that this council's produced in many, many years. And it is a living document, and it will change from time to time. But we believe that it's the way forward for our municipality to progress in a way that everybody benefits. So without further ado, Councillor. Oh, and I would like to thank Michelle and her team as well, the planners, for the outstanding job that they did on presenting this document. Thank you. Councillor Shegog.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, not really much more to say other than I feel that the West Tamar Council once again are leading other councils in the state in relation to developing these types of strategies and policies. So I'm sure that this policy or this strategy will be looked upon by other councils as perhaps a template for them. And I think that makes us even more proud as a council that we're leading the charge.
We need to copyright it then.
We do, yes.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shegog. I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Carried 9-0. 10.2 is delegations under the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, and the proposed delegations relate to the extension of the expiry period for planning permits under Section 53 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993. The proposed delegations are consistent with the approach for delegations generally and appear to have been inadvertently excluded from previous delegations, and the details are found from pages 337 to 340, and the recommendation is that council, delegates its authority to decide requests under Section 53(5)(b) and Section 53(5)(d) of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 to the Chief Executive Officer as the General Manager in accordance with the attached delegation schedules amendment, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to delegate these powers or functions to council employees.
Madam Mayor, I would like to move that this item be deferred to a workshop.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. May I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Councillor Manticas, do you wish to say anything further?
Procedural motion. I don't believe there's debate.
No. Good. So then I'll put it to the vote. Carried 9-0. The next item, 11, is corporate, and there are no items in corporate. Item 12 is community, and it's Community 1 Youth Advisory Council minutes for November. And the purpose of this report is to provide the minutes of the Youth Advisory Council, YAC, November meeting to council and for receiving and noting, and it's detailed. The minutes are from pages 342 to 345. And the recommendation is the council receives and notes the minutes as presented for the Youth Advisory Council meeting held on the 13th of November 2025. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Ferguson, and a seconder, Councillor Allen. Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, just to add that this is the minutes for Yak. Happy to accept them as read. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen?
No, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. The next item is Community 2 Positive Ageing Committee minutes. And again, the purpose of this report is to provide the minutes of the Positive Ageing Committee, or PAC, November meeting to Council for receiving and noting. The details are found on pages 346 to 349, and the recommendation is the Council receives and notes the minutes as presented for the West Tamar Positive Ageing Committee held at the meeting held on the 24th of November 2025. May I please thank you, Councillor Allen, and a seconder, please. Councillor Sladen. Councillor Allen.
No, just happy to move the minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Sladen. No other comments. I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. The next item, COM 4, West Tamar Council Australia Day Grant Applications 2026. And the purpose of this report provides an
One before.
Did I miss one?
It's the Exeter.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes, I was getting all enthusiastic about moving to the next agenda item. So I do apologise. COM 3 is Community Grant Application, Exeter Services and Community Club. And the purpose of this report is for Council to consider a community grant application received from the Exeter Services and Community Club for the restoration of a snooker billiard table. The details of this application are found from pages 350 to 369 of the agenda. And the recommendation is that the application received by the Exeter Services and Community Club has been assessed by council officers and exceeds the minimum matrix score required of 10.2. And the recommendation is that council approves the grant application submitted by the Exeter Services Club to the value of $5,000 to complete the table restoration project as outlined in the application. May I please have a mover, Councillor Lyons, and a seconder, please, Councillor Ireland. Councillor Lyons.
The Exeter Hub is a real social hub for the centre part of the municipality. There are lots of people who actually visit that area, and I'm sure many others than the actual core group of snooker players use this table. I think I know they have 2 tables, but certainly we should keep these facilities up to scratch. I guess the better the facilities, potentially the better they're looked after, and it's probably cheaper for the community group to actually get a quote than for the council to get a formal quote. I support the grant and wish them every success in their snooker endeavours.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Councillor Ireland.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the 2 good things. The quote, $7,000 odd, but the social club is going to pay a third of that, so we're up for 5,000. There's only 1 quote obtained from Alcox because they're probably the only people in Australia, and they've been going for 172 years. It's a long time to be making billiard tables, so we hope they know what they're doing. They should repair it, and it'll be another good asset for the social club. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Allen.
Just a comment to say that the club's been, the billiard club has been going, or snooker club, for 30 odd years, and they've got over 70 members. So I think it's really important that it's kept up to a standard. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Metikas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I think this table holds a bit more history than what people might or might not be aware of. So firstly, the club has the president of Snooker Australia as part of the Exeter Club, which I think is fantastic. This particular table, the World Amateur Championships that were held at the Albert Hall in Launceston in 1980, it was won by Jimmy White, who's gone on to be one of the world's most successful snooker players. For those that follow, and for those that don't, you should look it up. So to think that in little old Exeter, we've got such a historic piece of snooker equipment in the club, I'm going to go and play on it now because of this. So I think it's fantastic. And to think that we're contributing to its restoration so that it can be used for a lot longer, I think is a really good cause.
I feel we should heritage list it. Almost. Councillor Ferguson.
Yes, can I ask that Councillor Manticus plays it before the new lining goes on?
It's been taken on notice. Are there any other comments? Then I will ask Councillor Lyons to close.
Thank you. I just would like to say that I disagree with Councillor Ferguson. I'm sure Councillor Manzakas would do it proud. Probably had a misspent youth. I'm not sure, but I'm prepared to put that in. And I think if he's practiced, this company has practiced for 172 years, you think they'll get it right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we now will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 9-0. 12.4, the West Tamar Council Australia Day grant applications for 2026. And this report provides an overview of Australia Day grant applications that have been received to run events within the West Tamar municipality on Australia Day in 2026. And the details of the application are found from pages 370 to 382 of the agenda. And the recommendation is that Council approves the application submitted by the Kelso Volunteer Fire Brigade and the value of $2,500 to host Australia Day celebrations, Greens Beach foreshore, as outlined in the grant application. Approve the budget transfer from Ledger 805262, Special Events Australia Day, of $5,000 to Ledger 816261, Community Grants, bringing the total community grants budget to $45,000. Will somebody please move that motion? Councillor Ferguson, seconded Councillor Allen. Thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, happy to support this motion. This is an excellent event. They really do put on a great day up there. So we wish them all the best and the best weather. Also, just a note to say that I think that the council's doing a good job in supporting Australia Day. And this year we're supporting the pool with free swimming, and you look at what they do there on the day. The staff has create a great atmosphere and opportunity for people to get together. And we also have our Australia Day awards. So off topic, but next the following year we will have that event at Greens Beach, and wish them all the best. And thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Yes, happy to support this. I'm not sure how many years it's been going for, but as long as I can remember, we've had something at Greens Beach for Australia Day. So hopefully they'll keep doing it for council's benefit too.
Any other comments? Councillor Sladen.
No, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the gallery that, this is a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 event. And, they're celebrating Australia Day. There's going to be a lot of fun, but also it's a Bushfire Ready Community Awareness Day. And so, it's bringing together not only, celebrating Australia Day and family fun, but also an education aspect to that as well, with the Kelso Fire Brigade being in attendance. So, yeah, what's not to like about this? I fully endorse it.
Thank you, Councillor Sladen. Any further comments?
If you wouldn't mind, Madam Mayor. Just a question for the CEO, if you wouldn't mind. We're transferring the balance of the Australia Day special events, $5,000 to the community grants budget ledger line, but aren't we committed to supporting the Riverside Pool financially for the Australia Day? So shouldn't that come out of there?
No, there's already a budget line that supports the pool. So this is excess funds that hasn't been taken up by the community, which is why we're recommending it go back into the community through community grants.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I support this as well. The real pity is that I think for those councillors around the table that have been in council for a while, in the past we've had up to 4 applications from community groups for Australia Day events, and sadly, for whatever reason, they've disappeared. So we're doing everything we can, but I really would love to have seen more community input to what could be a great day. So, without further comment, Councillor Ferguson, do you wish to close?
Further?
Thank you. Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Item 13 is community assets, and there are no items for that. There are no items for people, culture and safety, and there are no petitions. So I now hand over to the Deputy Mayor to chair the motion that I propose to move.
Well, thanks, Madam Mayor. I would like you to move your motion.
Thank you very much. And I wish to move a motion that's slightly amended to the one in the council papers that says that the West Tamar Council writes to the Tasmanian Traffic Commissioner, Cynthia Hayden, to raise with her the ongoing and unacceptable safety, traffic and health issues that our residents of the Danbury Park area of our municipality have been raising with the state government for the last 5 years. And I wish to add that please don't interrupt while I'm reading my motion, that the West Tamar Council also requests a thorough road safety and speed limit of the West Tamar Highway between Cormanston Road and Acropolis Drive, citing the above-mentioned rationale.
Okay, is that up on the, is that additional information up on the board? We might just wait till it
Goes up.
goes up to make sure before I ask for a seconder that they know what they're seconding. Okay, so councillors, there's the a motion with the extra at the end. Now I just need a seconder, please. Councillor Slatton. Okay. Madam Mayor, would you like to
Thank you very much. My rationale for this is clearly outlined from pages 386 to 389, and I'm not going to read them all, but I will just like to mention a couple of things, and that is that between 2023 and 2025, speed limits have been reduced on many state and council roads and highways in Tasmania, driven by a focus on improving road safety. Recent examples include the Batman Highway, the West Tamar Highway, and the Huon Highway, along with council areas in the Hobart CDB, have implemented 40-kilometre zones into retail precincts. And as late as yesterday, Exeter speed limit was reduced to 40 kilometres per hour in business hours. These changes are based on evidence that lower speeds that can significantly reduce serious injuries and fatalities. Often they have been made in response to community concerns about specific road sections. And I also list in my rationale the examples of recent road reductions throughout the state, example of recent speed limit on council roads, ongoing safety concerns of the Danbury Park residents. I just think that it's time that a road that 20 years ago was a one-lane road is now at both ends. In Riverside, you have over 7,000 residents, and which is up to Cornston Road, and north of Acropolis Drive, there are nearly 7,000 residents as well. How this 2.5 kilometre section of highway can be classed a country road and classified at 100 kilometres an hour when children have nowhere to stand but on a road waiting for a bus where the traffic is going at 100 kilometres an hour. The noise levels from the road surface far exceeds the health requirement standards of government health regulations. And yet time and time again, this issue has been raised on behalf of the residents of Danbury Park and ignored. And one could be forgiven that maybe votes are more important than the safety of our children and the cyclists and the motorists that use that road. People that are living in Danbury Park have 4 seconds to cross 2 laneways of the West Tamar Highway, with cars that are abiding by the rules are driving 100 kilometres an hour. But I can assure you I drive that road every day, and I will eat my hat if the majority of cars on that bit of road are just doing 100 kilometres an hour. This is an issue that would not inconvenience motorists that greatly. It would take at the most 41 seconds to drive that 2.5 kilometres at 80 kilometres an hour instead of 100. I think that when the government has extended this largesse of reducing road limits in other parts of Tasmania for the very reasons that I am asking for the road speed limit to be reduced in this area, I think it's high time that that we as a council work harder to try and get a proper solution from our politicians, because we've spoken to ministers, we've spoken to our elected representatives. I think that the residents of Danbury Park, who, by the way, there are more entries onto the West Tamar Highway from Cormanston Road to Acropolis Drive than there are from Acropolis Drive to the roundabout at Lagana on Freshwater Point Road, and yet the speed limit there is 70 kilometres an hour. It's a far better quality road than the people have to put up with on the section of road that I'm talking about. And the other thing that's important to note is that we have cyclists. I don't know many roads in the world where a cyclist can drive on a highway where cars are driving at 100 kilometres an hour. There has been a death on that section of road of a cyclist. And I think it's high time that we as a council really upped the ante and did everything we could to get that road, in the first instance, the speed limit reduced to 80. And the second thing, which will come another day, is to address the resurfacing of the road to make the life of the 156 residents that live in Danbury Park more livable. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillor Sladden.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, just adding on to the Mayor's quite thorough expose of this stretch of road. I find this road quite anomalous. And Tasmania has a diversity of roads where we have anomalies. But I was driving to Hobart the other day, and anyone who's driven over the brand new Bridgewater Bridge, and then you're coming into Hobart, and when you arrive around about Claremont, that's when the road becomes about 80. And it's 80 and less all the way the rest into Hobart. There are no driveways really entering into that stretch of road. And it struck me as to why coming into Hobart, you have pretty much a 20 kilometre stretch of road that is 80 and below. Whereas we have this 2.5 kilometre stretch of highway with 150 residents pouring onto it. Admittedly, some of them are children, don't all drive yet. But we're fighting to get that stretch of road speed limit reduced. So as I mentioned, 150 residents, 5 years they've been lobbying about this. Around the room, we were talking earlier, most of us travel this road every day. And there are many problems on our roads around the state, and it's often been a point of discussion at council meetings. We're passionate about this. We wrote in March to the Minister for Transport and Infrastructure, I think as well, roads, and we had some responses back. And one of the things I'm always interested in is safety. And in this letter of reply that we had back, we were informed that the total number of reported crashes for this stretch of highway over 5 years is 34, with the majority resulting only in property damage. And over the last 5 years, there had been 8 crashes that have resulted in injuries, none of which were serious. However, since that letter was written, we've had 2 accidents, one in July 15th, which was a single vehicle accident on that particular stretch of road requiring 2 people to go to hospital. More recently, on November the 17th, a 3 vehicle and 1 motorcycle crash that resulted in a death. Now, I don't know the circumstances surrounding those, but this is on the particular highway that we've been lobbying against. We're reliably informed in the report that we received, and it's in the agenda minutes, that reducing the speed to 80 kilometres an hour over that 2.5 kilometre stretch of highway would only result in approximately 22 seconds extra of motorist travel time. But when you think about traffic flow theory and modelling, and I've looked a little bit into this, I suspect that the increase in travel time would be actually nothing at all, having a set of traffic lights at the riverside end and multiple roundabouts and traffic lights coming from Lagana. So all you get is an increased length speed over that period of time, but you still have blocks at either end. That's likening it to fluid dynamic principles. So the fact that we're getting so much resistance to a reduction in this speed just, I think, at the very least requires a little bit more explanation as to the reasonings behind it. And so for those reasons, I support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Sladen. Any other councillors? Just make Councillor Lyons.
Yeah, we've been talking about many and various road safety issues in the entire time I've been on the West Tamar Council. We had a group that was a road safety group and looking at the West Tamar Highway. I'm pretty amazed that MPs Erica Betts and Kerry Vincent have both written to us in the last few months, saying basically taking the bureaucratic line. For years, the process has been we write to them, we start to talk to the transport people, and surprise, surprise, sometimes the bureaucrats don't dominate the conversation and the ministers do take some direction and we get somewhere. I drive this area quite often. I think probably I do hit 100 along there when there are no cars, but the rest of the time I'm probably under that speed. I know people will be annoyed because they have to slow down to 80 when it gets changed, but it will get changed. But it will require the minister to take some direction, give some direction to their departments. These letters are pretty obviously written by the bureaucrats, signed by the minister, and we hope that sometime the ministers will listen and give some direction.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Councillor Manscutts.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Acting Chair. And pardon the pun, I'm just going to slow down and just try and stay in my lane right now. When we're debating this particular motion, it's calling on the Tasmanian Traffic Commissioner to undertake a review of the speed limit and the safety of the stretch of highway. I'm always open to having reviews being undertaken, especially since there seems to be sentiment around the table that the initial department assessment of the Department of State Growth didn't explain their findings or their reasonings. I'm not here to debate the merits of whether or not it should be reduced or increased. I'm not an expert in this space. I'm not even going to try and delve into this, but I will support writing to the Tasmanian Commissioner for Transport, Cynthia Hayden, for a review of this. I don't know if it's going to change the outcome of the initial assessment that the Department of State Growth did. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to try and continue to advocate for where we, as a collective council, feel that there are inadequacies or a lack of transparency in reasonings on previous determinations. So I'll support the motion as it's been amended.
Any other councillors? Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, in its current state, I won't be supporting this motion. Again, like last time, here we're not sticking to our lane particularly because we're not agreeing with what we're being told. So if this was purely for the traffic commissioner to review the safety of that stretch of road, that would be fine. But, you know, once, like the previous motion, we're going to change it to 80 Ks. Well, what if it needed to be less? So what if it needed to be 90? So we've had feedback. I would support a different motion. I won't be supporting this one. You know, local government doesn't like it when people come and tell us what to do. And here we are telling them what to do. We're too prescriptive. We need to just get that motion, the approach for that motion in a better fashion, and then I'd support it, but not today.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Any other comments by any other councillors? Councillor Allen?
Just going to note it doesn't actually say, the motion itself that's been changed doesn't actually say 80 kilometres, is that right?
Well, it doesn't.
It just says a review it.
It doesn't say that, actually. It just says it in the rationale.
That's right, but the motion actually says just to review it. So I think that's important. Happy with a review.
Thanks. Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? I'd just like to make one, if that's okay. I get a little. We've been through this before, and it appears that we didn't like the answer, so we're doing it again. Some of the comments made on Facebook last time were terrible, and it's even mentioned in the letter from the minister. The department has advised me they have received a large amount of correspondence from the community, with the vast majority being against a speed reduction in the area. So I know we have the commitment to our local community that live there, but also we have a commitment to the travelling community that live around that area as well. With all due respect to Councillor Sladden, you mentioned the 80-kilometre zone from Claremont into Hobart and mentioned that it was similar to, or possibly similar to, the stretch outside. That stretch of road goes through two of the most biggest intersections in the state, being Elwick Road and Risdon Road. So I don't know if we can actually compare the two as similar. Back, this one, please. So I have trouble. And the other issue, Councillor Sladden, that recent terrible fatality at Lagana was when the traffic was stopped. They actually weren't even moving. So to sort of compare the speed to that accident may also be a long bow. But I appreciate your passion, and I understand why you would raise it. I just want it to be a balanced argument. That's all. So I think we've done it before. It's quite clear what the department think. It's a very long and wordy motion. And I agree with, I don't know if it was Councillor Manicus or Ferguson, if it had been basically rights to the Tasmanian Traffic Commissioner to raise the ongoing safety concerns with Danbury Park area, I'd have probably gone with that because it's more succinct. But I think there's a lot of work in there, but I fully support the passion of councillors that wish to pursue this. But as I did last time, I didn't support it, and I won't be supporting it again. So anyhow, and all that being said, Madam Mayor, would you like to close the debate?
Well, I would like to pick up on something that you did say, Deputy Mayor, and that is that we have to keep happy the people that don't live in the area but drive through the area. I recall many years ago the West Tamar Council fought for the upgrade of the road between Lenina Avenue and Gravelly Beach Road for the safety of people using that stretch of road where they walked on a goat track, where children going to school were walking with truck tyres less than a metre from their heads, roaring down the road. I think that, if we have to wait another 10 years before something is done about this road, I think it will be very regrettable. But I'd like to finish off just by saying that this is one of the busiest stretches of road in Tasmania. However, to date, residents' pleas have been largely ignored. Bureaucrats who are geographically removed from the situation are making decisions that compromise the health and safety of this community. In refusing to consider their requests, the government continues to deny the lived experience of all concerned, those who have to negotiate 4 lanes of traffic travelling at 100 kilometres an hour, those who have to enter and exit the multiple driveways without slip lanes, and those who are forced to live with noise levels that breach both Tasmanian and international guidelines. And I finish off by asking my councillors to support this motion.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so we'll just go to the vote. So those all in favour of the motion? So I've got Councillor Sladden, yes. Councillor Manicus, yes. Councillor Lyons, yes. Madam Mayor, yes. Councillor Allen, yes. And all those against? I've got Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Sheegod, Councillor Ireland, and Councillor Lana. So that's 5-4. So the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. And back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. We now come to the motions without notice, item 16.2. And Councillor Maticas, your motion, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the West Tamar Council affirms its unequivocal support for the Jewish community, including Jewish Australians, and condemns anti-Semitism in all its forms, including conduct, rhetoric, symbolism that intimidates, vilifies or targets Jewish people.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lyons. Councillor Maticas, I beg your pardon, I was just writing down councillor's name.
No worries. Madam Mayor, fellow councillors, I move this motion today. What Australians witnessed on Sunday was a shocking and senseless act of violence directed squarely at the Jewish community. A Jewish community that had assembled together on the first day of Hanukkah on the shores of Bondi Beach, and what was meant to be a celebration was turned on its head in the most despicable way known. An act of terrorism by Islamic extremism, fueled by extremist ideology, resulting in the deaths of Australians and foreign nationals on Australian soil. Australia is mourning, Tasmanians are mourning, and the West Tamar is mourning. I stand with all Jewish communities at a time when they are being targeted and feeling vulnerable, and I affirm that I will not bend or retreat in the face of hatred or anti-Semitism. I think this motion is about drawing a clear and principled line, rejecting hatred, rejecting terrorism and extremist ideology in all of its forms, making it absolutely clear that violence has no place in our municipality or country. Our country is built on the rule of law, respect for human life, and a shared commitment to safety, and those values must be defended. Australia is one nation united by shared values, and our resolve will not be broken, and our resilience is unbreakable. Today, this council has the opportunity to say no to anti-Semitism. I want this council to support this motion and back in the Jewish community, and that affirm that our Australian values and freedoms will never be broken by the sound of gunfire. Today, I'm standing with Israel and the Jewish community right across Australia and in Tasmania.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Maticas. Councillor Lyons.
I think I agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Mandicas. I think we all have this feeling of dread and repulsion at this murderous act, and I absolutely support the motion.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Lana.
I see this as outside the remit of council for the reason that it may have potential to support the division of the Australian community down faith or national international immigrant lines. There's been a lot of discussion of anti-immigrant rhetoric in the country in recent times with the flood of immigrants that we've had, and I believe the motion could be amended out of unequivocal support for the victims and their loved ones, as well as the wider Bondi and Sydney community, driving this profoundly distressing time, during this profoundly distressing time. But really our collective focus must remain with the strengthening community unity and reaffirming our shared commitment to peace, safety and sanctity of life, whether it be Jewish or otherwise.
Thank you, Councillor Lana. Any other speakers?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schiegel.
Madam Mayor, I fully support the motion put forward by Councillor Manicus and his good words. I understand where Councillor Lana is coming from. However, I think in the light of what has occurred, the atrocities that occurred on Sunday, this is a strong statement. And I think it's a strong statement that probably could have come from other levels of government previous to now. I'm not going to point the finger clearly at anyone in particular. However, I think this is a great time to come together, and I know we have targeted, or not targeted, that's the wrong word, we have indicated to the Jewish people, or the Jewish Australians, and I think on this occasion that's important, but we know as a council that we are inclusive and are socially wise to all of the religions in our community and the immigrants and migrants that have moved to this beautiful part of the world. And Madam Mayor, you would be probably hand up there as well. Indeed. So I'd also like to pay tribute to the first responders also that attended, the police, fire, ambulance and other emergency services that had to deal with such a confronting and changing situation, and to the persons that are still in hospital recovering from this tragic event. So well done, Councillor Manicus, for moving it, and I'm happy to support.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Yes, Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, just a question for our Chief Executive, just before I speak. Just if you could correct me, this was named up as a targeted attack against that Jewish group of people. Am I correct from your understanding?
Yes, my understanding is New South Wales Police and therefore the AFP are treating this as a terrorist attack, and that was specifically targeting the Jewish community.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to, of course, I was going to support this motion, and I think hygienically cleaning the words, not to say Jewish, is offensive. In fact, we need to be very clear about this. This was a targeted attack on a part of our community that have an equal right to be here and follow their religious practices without being hindered at all, mind you, and let alone being shot. So I am very sorry for the people that lost their lives. I was very angry about it. A lot of Australians were very angry about it. And this motion needs to be said. And I spoke to my kids about this and said, "Oh, the world, it's terrible how it's going." But do you know what? I sort of said, our country's lost its way. It's departed from our shared values. When actual fact it hasn't. It's a small amount of people that have, and we've got a populist idea here about let's just clean all the language and let's make everything seem like we care. Well, no, this actually needs to say the truth that in fact that our Jewish community are being targeted in many ways currently. And so I support the motion. And I think if the everyday Australian starts being a bit clear about who we are and what our shared values are, we will be able to make this very small, loud, annoying group of minority people even smaller. And so thank you for moving the motion, Councillor Manticus.
Any other comments? Councillor Sladen.
I haven't got much more to add that hasn't already been said very well by my councillor colleagues. But thank you, Councillor Manticas, for bringing this motion. I agree that this is a motion that needs to be said, and sometimes it's the obvious thing that needs to be said. It was a clear, targeted attack against the Jewish people, and so we need to call it out and say the truth and say that we stand in solidarity with the Jewish community and Jewish Australians, and we will not stand for this behaviour in our country. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Sladen. Any further comments? No, Councillor?
No, I think it's all been said. Thank you, Councillor
Thank you.
Manticus.
Before I ask Councillor Manticas to close, I'd like to say something as well. I think blind Freddie could have seen what was coming and what happened last Sunday at Bondi. I think the disgraceful behaviour of those that come to this country and who do not share our values and do not adopt our cultures, and the demonstrations on the Sydney Opera House were just the beginning 2.5 years ago. I think it's time that we as a nation called it up for what it is. It was a targeted attack against a group of peaceful people who do share our values and our cultures. And there is no possible excuse in my mind to forgive those that orchestrated this horrendous attack on the Jewish community, and I will support it wholeheartedly. And I thank Councillor Manticas for bringing it to the table. So now I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Oh, I beg your pardon, Councillor Manticas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just in closing, and I know other councillors around the table have touched on this, I also wanted to acknowledge all the first responders for their professional and courageous response to an unfolding and highly dangerous situation. I also acknowledge the extraordinary bravery shown by fellow Australians who intervened to assist others and helped in the face of extreme danger. Those acts single-handedly reflect the very best of who we are as a nation. A united nation that must not allow extremism or extremist ideologies to gain any traction within our communities. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Manticas. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That's a no. So I'll go around for the record. Approving is Councillor Sladden, Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Manticas, Councillor Lyons, Councillor Shegog, Councillor Hondal, Councillor Allen, Councillor Island. Abstaining is Councillor Lana. So we now come to item number 17, which is councillor questions on notice. And the questions and answers are found on page 394 to 395 of the agenda. Councillors' questions without notice. Are there any today? Yes, Councillor Matt. Yes.
Just two questions, and with the opening of Burt Munro's Cafe in Exeter, there's been a significant increase in the foot traffic along that stretch. True. And my question is, what would it take for council to install some public bins in or around that location?
I'll take that one on notice.
And then the second question is, what's the procedure, I guess, for a business such as Burt Munro's if they wanted to be included in some of the visitor signage? The blue signage with the, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, anything like that, they have to be a registered visitor activity. So what I would be suggesting is that the owners of that business contact our economic development officer and we can run them through how to go through that process.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to any other councillors, because it's on the same issue, at the moment, if a resident coming out of Wilmore Crescent and wishing to turn north, about 80% of the time, or certainly during business hours, finds it very difficult to see oncoming traffic travelling towards the Wilmore Crescent intersection. The farm and feed business on the corner uses the footpath and the nature strip area as a parking strip. I nearly got cleaned up the other day because there was a big truck making deliveries. And I was turning left, the person that was coming up the highway and going to turn right into Wilmore Crescent, cut the corner, didn't see me because of the truck, and I think passed me by about that much when he swerved. Something has to happen that, and the the new cafe, also, if they have cars parked all the way down to Wilmore Crescent, you can't see, especially if it's a caravan, you can't see what's travelling south. So I don't know whether it's a recommendation of yellow lines on the highway that are painted for a certain length from the Wilmore Crescent intersection, both north and south, will solve the problem. But there have been 3 near misses on that corner probably in the last 12 months.
We'll take that one on notice and we'll get our staff to have a look at it, bearing in mind that any recommendation would need to go to state growth.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Lana was first and then Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question without notice. In this month's council workshop with presentation by consultants at leisure, I'm not sure if that's their full name, about the Beaconsfield Recreation Plan, Churchill Park at Beauty Point was identified as an important bushland area to be preserved as such.
Can we I'd just be mindful, Councillor Lana, that has not yet come out publicly.
Oh.
So the briefing that Councillor had was a confidential briefing.
Okay, so just disregarding that, if it's possible, I've received notification from a resident of Beauty Point that Churchill Park is being used as a dumping ground for people's garden rubbish, and that the area is tinder dry at the moment with plenty of fuel to feed this potentially dangerous fire hazard. So can Council please, is it possible for Council to review the current status of Churchill Park's risk of fire to enable potential risk reduction measures to potentially be made?
Certainly we can ask some council officers to do a fire hazard assessment to see whether there's anything that's required.
Thank you. I have another question without notice. Is that Yes, thank you. I'm a member of the Lions Club, and I'm informed that they have some funds in reserve and they wish to contribute to a new community benefit project upgrade. Project, and an upgrade to a skate BMX park at Grabley Beach is a potential such at the Rose Bay park there has been raised at the Lions Club. Can council provide expertise to assess the feasibility, to help assess the feasibility of such a project? And is that something that the council would be interested to collaborate?
Well, I would look, I'd take that on notice and we'd need to talk to the Lions Club. But the reality is, if Lions Club is asking council to invest monies or do a grant of some description or do in kind, then that is something that we'd need to go through our normal processes to assess.
Of course. I have a third question, which wasn't the basis of my question, by the way. It was just a matter of assessing what the costs may be and whether it would match the funding. My third question. So in the November council meeting, a motion was raised for council's assessment of the perceived landholder stormwater issues for Little Swan Point Road, Grabley Beach, but the motion was amended in late notice, apologies in absence of the councillor who first raised the motion, for council to conduct a stormwater systems assessment of nearby Teggs Road, where no such stormwater issues appear to exist. There are other sites of perceivably significant stormwater.
So, point of order, Madam Mayor. Question time for councillors is about questions, not having an open platform on a lengthy preamble or statements about an item that's already been discussed at the previous council meeting.
Can I provide council with this 8-page pictorial record of stormwater problems around Grabley Beach, please?
You can table that. Thank you, Councillor Lana. Councillor Allen was next.
I just wanted to add to the issue along the West Tamar Highway near Burt Munro's Cafe, which is excellent to see that he's getting great support. Added to Councillor Holmdroyd, who has a letter has gone into council requesting they look at the driveway to 144 Main Road where the retirement village is. Now, I must say I live there, but that letter's not from me, because you can't see when you're going out with the traffic so close either side of the driveway and on the other side of the road. So that letter has gone to council.
I'm yet to receive that letter. It may have gone to community assets, but we'll chase it up and come back to you.
Thank you. Councillor Lyons.
My question is, would it be possible at the Bridge North roundabout to ask State Growth to make any car that enters the Bridge North roundabout, either from coming from the south or from the Bridge North Road, that they can only turn into the outside lane of the highway? I had two recent escapes. A bus was coming out. I was going to the carols at the Lagana Primary School. The bus on the inside lane coming from the north was late stopping, and the bus on the outside actually came well over the line before I hit the horn of my car and basically had to stop. If you come around that corner, most people coming around that corner, many people who come around that corner turn into the primary school. So at various times, if they don't turn into the primary school, being on the outside lane, they have plenty of time to get over into the right-hand lane if they're intending to travel south. But this has been an issue for a long time. If there was only one lane to go in, somehow it was marked, so you had to go into the outside lane, then all of those cars coming from the north would have to give way. I just ask for council to consider it and maybe ask the state government to think about that entrance.
Councillor Lyons, we'll come back to you to get some of your experiences, and if any other councillors have had any feedback in relation to that roundabout, if you can let me know, and then we'll seek to just write to the government to let them know that some issues have been brought to our attention.
Yeah. Yes, Councillor. Oh, I beg your pardon. It was Councillor Sladden and then Councillor Ireland. Somebody is on.
Just a brief question regarding an email that we received. And this is going to display my lack of knowledge regarding World War I German artillery. But the howitzer display in Beaconsfield and just the practicalities surrounding relocating that.
Yeah, so at the moment, council officers have had a look at the practicalities of actually doing that. So we're in the process of writing back to that particular family member in relation to it. Because of the way it's in the ground, it's not an easy thing necessarily to pick up and move. We understand what's behind it, but we're still working through what the options are.
Okay, thank you for that.
Councillor Ireland.
No, just to follow up on the Bridge North Road roundabout, it isn't complete yet. There's still a lot of road cones there. And when it's complete, I hope there will be white lines to show how you go. Tasmanians will need to learn how to do a 2-lane roundabout. They'll learn eventually.
And the reality is, Councillor, we haven't had one in the municipality before. So my only wish is that they have on that stretch of road between the Freshwater Point roundabout and the Bridge North Road roundabout, I hope to God that they've coated that great big white wall with anti-graffiti protection, because I think it's going to be an absolute magnet. So, any other comments,
No, that's
Councillor
right. It's really a question for our planners. It's been so long since I've had to deal with this, but I've got a question from a person at Grindelwald in relation to a building being built that doesn't keep in fitting with the original Swiss village. Now, I know we had a discussion a long time ago about that, and there was talk about covenants and a SAP, and I'm just wondering if I could get an answer to that, because it's been so long ago I can't recall.
We'll take that on notice, I think, unless my Director of Planning can answer that now. Looks like she can, so we'll bring her up.
Thank you. The Swiss Village design requirements were all linked to a covenant that the developer set when they established the subdivision around Grindelwald. And a covenant is not a planning matter that we deal with when we assess planning applications. If somebody wants to enforce the covenant, they would need to take civil action in order to do that.
And Voss Constructions own the copyright, the covenants.
I think the development company who did establish it, which was a Voss, not sure it's the current Voss.
Yeah.
I don't believe that company is in existence anymore.
I looked at a block of land on Alpine Crescent about 6 years ago, and with the intention of building a house that wasn't an Alpine style. And I spoke with Michael Voss of Voss Constructions. He was the person that I was directed to, and he advised me that I could give them my plans, and they actually approved the plan, and that was between 19 and 23 Alpine Crescent. But we didn't go ahead with it, but I did get compensation from that covenant. So, if that's of any help.
Thank you, Michelle. It was just a query from a resident where recently a shed has been, or you know what I'm talking about. So, and it's pretty ugly apparently. I don't know. Art, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. All those perfect phrases, but yeah, you're aware of it, so I'll just leave it at that. It didn't come to council per se, didn't, so it wasn't required.
No, so but it's the design of that is not something that we can consider under the planning scheme.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions without notice? There being none, we will move to 17.3, which are the responses to last month's question. 2 questions on notice from Councillor Allen, and the replies are on page 397 of the agenda. we now go in that pursuant to Regulation 17.1 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2025, Council closes this meeting to the public at 3:54 p.m. to discuss items in the closed part of the agenda. So thank you all very much to our community members that have lasted the distance. Thank you very much for coming.
Just need to put that page.
Yep. So now, may I please have somebody to move that we move from this meeting into closed session? Councillor Manticas. And seconded, who put their hand up first? Yeah, I've got that. Councillor Lyons, thank you. Any comments? No? Thank you. We go into all in favour. All in favour? Thank you. Okay, so finally, the motion has been moved past 9-0, and the decision is that the council meeting closed at 4:39 p.m.